left to do as they do.
I will get you all, I just got people ahead of me.
To answer your question, there's no indication in any of the dealings I've had with Bob Rademacher that he would just run off and leave us holding the bag. I have no indication he would do that. Neither does our legal counsel, who has dealt with him before. It feels he's reputable. He'll do the right thing, unless I have reason to think otherwise. You know, I don't want to approach it blindly by saying, "Oh yeah, no problem. You know, no harm, no foul. Everything is wonderful." No, we still have to have some degree of skepticism. We still have to look at this from the standpoint of we have to protect our interests, and my job is to protect our interests. Before we do anything, we're going to seek legal counsel. We're not going to go into this blindly because none of us are experts in these transitions and turnovers. We have not done this for a living. So he's going to help me out.
You're on the right side.
To begin with, the question was asked about turnover, and the charter legally says he has to turn over at 90%. So that's a legal requirement. We have no control over that. But he has addressed all these issues with us, and we are quite confident, because we're the flagship community, that he is going to do what is right. As far as the road's concerned, we've had discussions with him on the alligatoring and that type of thing. And when he has his equipment in to Top Coat Phase 3, then we've talked to him about, while that equipment is here, it's a lot cheaper, let's fix the alligatoring and that type of thing. So we're working on that, and hopefully we'll get that resolved.
Go here. What's me? What's me? I think that's
Go.
I'm Robert Landis. I live on Cranberry Lane in Section 3. The folks on my street, in my area, have a growing concern with dog owners. I noticed I didn't say dogs, I said dog owners. A number of people fairly new in the area, surrounding area, are allowing their dogs to walk up into our property, do their business in our landscape planting areas, and in some cases right up near the house. The few that have been, I'll say, confronted or spoken with have indicated that they will start picking up the dog poop with the bags, even though we don't have any dog stations in our area, but I understand the community will be looking at that. The other problem is the dog pee. A lot of dogs are allowed to go up into your planting beds. They do their business on your bushes, on your grass, and that kills them. So while we in the area are trying to be nice about it, we would like the board to at least address the issue and try to encourage people to not use the 30-foot extension leases and to walk their dogs along the sidewalk or in the common areas to do their business, because again, it's private property, and even a lot of the dog owners on our street obey the rules and they don't walk their dog up into people's yards. But it's a growing concern and people are getting real excited about it.
Two things with that, and that is, if you care, if you know who the person is that's doing it, because they're your neighbor, report it. We'll get a letter to them saying it's not adequate just to keep your dog on a leash if you're allowing the dog to go into someone's yard to do their business, regardless of
We did have one lady, and we took a picture of her up in somebody's yard, and Gary was rapid to contact her with a letter, and she, I guess, spoke with him and said she would, try to obey the rules. But it's a growing problem. There's just a number of people, and you can see, you go down the street and you can see people letting their dogs go way up into the bushes. Now, some communities have gotten to the point where they monitor it closely. Some have the situation where you do the DNA testing.
This falls almost in the same category as kind of the driving issue. You can appeal to people. I would ask Gary to include this at some time in the portion of the daily update. This is, it's not enough just to have your dog on the leash. The dog must be restrained from going into or on properties other than the owners.
How many of you ever seen it in the daily?
I've seen it, I don't, it's not doing its job.
Over here, Ron. Ron.
Question
Right here. Ron. Watch me.
over here.
I'm Ms. Graham, and I live on Grapevine. And I think you already answered part of my question. My concern was with we taking over the control. And what happens then with all the unsold homes and the lots and Coulter's responsibility? And obviously, they need the sales center to be open while they're still selling those lots.
Right. What happens, it triggers from that, we have a 90-day period from that 90% in which to hold, the builder still has this, he shifts from what is called the B vote, where he does have absolute authority over everything, to where he has A votes. And the A vote is just like you. If he owns X number of properties, that's how many votes he has. It will trigger, the clock starts ticking, because there will be a board election for his appointed members. There are 3 members who would stay on the board. That's Robin Riegel, Bill Bone, and Sid Jacobs. They would stay on because they were elected in January. Me, Jim, and Frank Bodick are forced to resign from the position, and we may run again if we want, but there's a board election. Those 3 positions are open. So,
I think there's a lot of confusion.
Answer the question.
Confusion between transition and.
Between turnover and transition. Turnover is when the board maintains total control. Transition will occur afterwards, up to a year or more, that we work with the builder on these issues.
So the homes that haven't been sold, the lots that haven't been sold, or the homes that haven't been built, after we take control,
right.
Coulter still works pretty much as they have been in selling, and
Until he does a conveyance, until those actual closing documents are signed, those homes belong to him. After they're signed, they belong to the association. And there's one other aspect of this. He still can retain the veto right on board actions up until the very last home is conveyed. He may do that. However, he can give that up earlier by saying, not even going to bother with that. It's yours to manage. I'll give up that veto right that I have. He could potentially do that if he chooses. He hasn't indicated that he would do that, but that could be part of the deal.
I'm Carol Bell. I live on Sweet Magnolia Parkway, and we also have a drag strip on our Sweet Magnolia. I live at the top, and right now we're still fighting like cement trucks and garbage trucks, and everybody's speeding up the parkways on Sweet Magnolia. So we also need you to look into that area for speeding. They come through the gate and they just go down the hill fast.
Hi, I'm Ilka Tatar. We live on Lavender Point, and who's going to be responsible for the sidewalks? Because right now when we walked here, there are holes in the sidewalks. I mean, big holes and chunks missing. So when Coulter leaves, who's responsible for that maintenance?
If it's in phase 3 and it's still what amounts to a warranty issue, that would certainly be picked up by Dan Gershkowitz's engineering group. They would find that it's if you're looking at a hairline crack in a sidewalk in phase 1, that's probably not going to make the cut, but that would. No, those things would be.
Even in phase 1, there are holes in the sides of the parking, or the sidewalks are starting to disintegrate.
Dan will look at that. Dan's crew was looking at it.
Ultimately, the decision has to be made. If the developer isn't going to fix that because it's older, it falls back to the homeowners association, and everybody pays for it. Yes.
Margie Rosen, Blue Spruce Court. What's the HOA, what's the board going to be doing with the amenities report? The amenities committee report?
Oh, we still have the report. We're just it's on the back burner for right now. At some point, we would hope that we can bring this back well, certainly not all of it, but some point, since it's done in pieces, there may be an opportunity to bring this thing up. We won't do anything until we're ready to act on it, because it would just set kind of false expectations. We have no detail. We don't want to spend any money just analyzing something that we cannot do, and we cannot do it right now. But it's still alive and well, it's just sitting on the back burner.
Paul White from Blue Spruce Court.
Yes.
I have a procedural request we made on the monthly meetings. We have the cart and the horse in the wrong positions. You should be publishing at least a minimum of a week prior to the meeting, the agenda. So if individuals wish to speak to the agenda, they can take that opportunity to address the board before the board votes on it. Thank you.
Okay.
In Georgia, you don't even have to notice the meeting. It's the board's decision to allow you to come to the meeting to begin with. And secondly, they put out a notice within 72 hours of the meeting to allow folks to come. But as far as any legal, and I know you said procedural, there's nothing that binds them legally to put out an agenda and to serve notice more than 72 hours. Now, if that's what they want to do, they'll instruct me and I'll do as they ask.
We try to get the agenda out, as the notice goes out about the meeting with the agenda. There have been so many issues that have come up from time to time, some on warranty issues, and there are trees, and it could be speeding, it could be any number of things. They come in at the last minute. There's not an opportunity to do that, so they'll find their way into we want to address them in the agenda. But we only want to bring out to this open session those things on which we're voting. Because we do an executive session where we just kind of hammer through, we talk about things. Should this be in the agenda or should it not? We do not vote in the executive session, just get a sense of what are the important issues that we need to bring out that we're going to vote on in the open meeting. So yes, if we get those early enough, we'll put on everything we can ahead of time. But some things come at the last minute and they deserve to be on the agenda, and we'll add them where we can.
No problem. Any other?
Right. Yes, sir.
My name is Charles Johnson. I'm on Crestwind Parkway. Would you introduce your fellow members of the board? I'm a new resident, and they were not introduced in this meeting.
Absolutely. Let me start with the kind of the veteran members, the appointed members of the board, of whom I am one. So Ron Mitchell, I'm the chairman of the board. Jim Alvarez is in the same category. He's been on for a while, was an appointed member. Frank Bodick, same, he was an appointed member going back to the advisory committee days. The three members that were elected by all of us as residents is Robin Riegel, who's also the secretary and provides the minutes of the meeting, which are essential because nothing's legal until they're published in the minutes. Sid Jacobs and Bill Bowman. Deborah Ellis, who has been here longer than anybody, and she is the treasurer and the keeper of the fund. So we rely on her heavily to make sure that we really spend what we're supposed to spend for it, do it judiciously. A question in the back.
Elizabeth Corp, Willow Creek Drive. Has there been any additional dialogue with having a stoplight at the entrance here and also at Montgomery? I hear a lot of ambulances, fire trucks going by.
Yes, that has come up twice and has been studied twice. The first time it was done, it was several years ago. It cost $25,000 just to do the study. And it proved that they weren't going to do anything because the emphasis, based upon the Department of Transportation, was on Dawsonville Highway, that big intersection up by Home Depot and the shopping center. That's where their focus was. There was one done recently, probably within the last year. It is surprising how fast that thing went. They had a little device on a pole, and it was counting traffic, but it was only there for a week or two, and then it was down. And that was one that was shared by, I think it was Gainesville, Hall County. There were a number of people sharing in the cost, also in the tens of thousands of dollars, to the same conclusion. Not enough traffic, Dawsonville Highway is the emphasis. It would not be judicious for us to spend $25,000 to find out that we don't need a traffic light. I mean, yeah, you need one for a period of time, and you know, it can be slow, but it doesn't meet the Georgia Department of Transportation standards for a stoplight. If you needed one any place, in my opinion, probably be in Montgomery.
There's a wreck there every month. At least one.
Hi, Lynn Library, Scarlet Oak. This has to do with procedural matters that are going on right now for us. I've turned in a number of work orders, requests for work, or maintenance to, I think those are MTS, and requests for funds. Nobody ever responds that they've gotten those, and some of them have fallen into a black hole, and I've had to put them in again, and I still haven't heard anything back from any of them.
These MTS requests?
Some of them are MTS, some of them are requests for funds that have gone to our association. I don't know where they go. I turn them in at the office. Where are they?
We have a list of them. Debbie and I have the list. There's no availability.
But when you turn something in, I think it would be polite to let us know that you've received it and where it stands in the queue for action. MTS is particularly bad.
We have a meeting with them on a regular basis to talk about that very thing. And we've been assured, certainly recently, that they were on top of doing these things, but it's worth, I got it. Okay, I got it. We'll take it up with them again.
Any other questions? Going once? Oh, you just did.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you very much.
Hold on, we got one more.
Oh, one more?
I'm Cliff Cottingham of Blue Spruce, and I was waiting for the end. There are a lot of us in here that are older than others, and we can't read as well as the youngers. And every time they put something on that screen up there, the most we can probably see is the first line up there, comments and questions. Everything else is bad. So if you would use that as your guide for the smallest lettering, it's on there now, comments and questions. That would be the smallest font that you use. The rest of us can see it.
I will guarantee that the font size will be increased dramatically in the next 10 years.
And we'll slow it down some.
I hope that the presentation that you received today, the opportunity to do the Q&A, is beneficial. The intent was after a couple of years. This existed in the advisory committee several years ago, and it just kind of faded away. But as I said, backed by popular demand, this is a way to do this without the formality of a board meeting where you have the motions and you have a Q&A at the end. This gets a larger number of people together to get questions answered that are of interest to you, and there are varieties, and there, of course, across a wide spectrum. But I want to thank you for your attendance today, and hope you found this informative also. Thank you very much.